Incredible journey. Young seamstress adopts twins, then their hidden CEO father is discovered. Mia stood in her quaint shop, surrounded by rich fabrics and vibrant threads, each color echoing the dream she had stitched together, a family of her own. At 28, she had always been the afterthought in her life, the quiet seamstress in a small town who could only watch as others basked in the warmth of motherhood. Yet with each fluttering stitch of her sewing machine, she felt an emboldened spirit rise within her, igniting hope. The idea of adopting Tyler and Ethan from foster care became her lifeline, allowing her a chance to craft love into existence. The twins, with their endless energy and laughter, filled her humble apartment with a chaotic joy. Mia poured her heart into creating a home, transforming the once dull space into a sanctuary of creativity and love. But reality set in like the shadows creeping into a sunset. The whispers from neighbors crept through the walls of her home just as insidiously as they brushed past her at the grocery store. What kind of woman raises boys alone? They scoffed during church services, and she couldn't help but feel the weight of their disdain cutting deeper than any fabric she had ever sewn. Mia's heart raced as doubt slithered into her mind. Had she made the right choice? The twins deserved a mother who could shield them from judgment, not one who stood as a target. Days turned into restless nights, and every innocent laugh turned into a reminder of the constant anxiety that clung to her like an uncomfortable seam. The citizens of the town saw her as reckless, a single woman attempting to mold a family out of the fragments of lives shaped by loss and uncertainty. Could she fight against their preconceived notions, or was she merely crafting her own heartbreak? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when Mia began to settle into her new routine, a knock on the door rattled her world. An attorney stood before her, delivering news that struck like a bolt of lightning. Jonathan. The name reverberated in her thoughts, the estranged father of her boys emerging from the shadows of his tech empire, demanding a place in their lives. The polished exterior of his corporate world sent shivers down her spine, the realization hitting her that she, Mia, the seamstress, was now thrust into a legal battle against a man known for wielding power and wealth like weapons. Tension spiraled within her, an orchestra of conflicting emotions playing at full volume. Could she stand against the man who had abandoned his children, yet still wielded the influence to take them away? The thought sent her stomach plummeting. Tightly woven into the fabric of her life were the philosophies of hard work, love, and resilience, a patchwork of values she fought to instill in Tyler and Ethan. But those principles felt fragile against the polished veneer of Jonathan's ambition. As the weight of impending court dates loomed closer, Mia's mind raced. Doubt sharpened like a well-tailored blade, tearing apart her resolve. Her hands, which had sewn countless seams with certainty, trembled as she envisioned a courtroom battle where love and sacrifice would collide with wealth and status. Could family truly be defined by blood, or did love forge stronger ties? The question echoed in her heart, pressing like a heavy weight as she braced herself for a fight that seemed all but insurmountable. As she prepared to face the unknown, Mia felt the air grow thick with tension, each moment unfurling with the promise of confrontation, and the courtroom awaited its reckoning. Mia stood at her sewing machine, the rhythmic hum melding with the rapid beats of her heart. Each stitch felt heavier than before, as if the fabric itself bore the weight of her uncertainty. The impending court battle against Jonathan lingered at the forefront of her thoughts, overshadowing even the joyful chaos brought by Tyler and Ethan. In this turmoil, she wondered whether her love and determination could withstand the forces that threatened to tear her family apart. As she crafted yet another shirt for Ethan, a memory flickered to the surface, her grandmother sitting beside her, teaching her how to sew. "Every stitch is a promise," she had said, the wisdom another layer in the fabric of Mia's life. In that moment of reflection, Mia understood that the true fight was not merely about custody, but about proving what a family truly meant. Blood didn't define it, commitment and heart did. Each thread she pulled and clipped was an affirmation of her resolve to protect the twins at all costs. With a newfound clarity, she began formulating a plan. First, she would seek legal counsel, not just any lawyer, but someone who understood the nuances of family law, someone who could help her construct a case based not only on the tangible factors, but also on the love and stability she provided. The rising sun poured into her shop, illuminating her commitment as she set aside her doubt. She would push through this trial, armed with passion and the memories of those who had taught her resilience. Over the next few days, Mia poured herself into researching local attorneys, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as she sought out someone fierce yet compassionate. She reached out, finally deciding on a woman with a reputation for standing up against powerful adversaries, but also one who saw families in shades of color. Gray, rather than strict lines of black and white. When the day of their first meeting came, Mia's palms were clammy, but she held her chin high as she stepped into the office filled with books and awards. The attorney, Patricia, gave a warm smile that bridged the gap between them. As they discussed the case, Patricia outlined the emotional aspects, the love and care Mia had woven into her boys' lives. It was a framework Mia had never considered before. The idea of building a case on emotional strength was both daunting and exhilarating. That evening, as she prepared dinner for the twins, the kitchen rang with laughter echoing against the walls. Mia watched them, their spirits so unburdened by the shadows looming over her. It shook her to her core. In that moment, she decided she wouldn't let fear dictate her journey. As they gobbled down spaghetti and told her about their day, she knew they were witnessing her fight, a living testament of love conquering obstacles. However, even as she felt empowered, reminders of Jonathan's looming presence tore at her confidence. What unseen strategies was he planning? The menacing company he ran and the financial resources at his disposal threatened her dreams. Could she outsmart a CEO who had been absent from his children's lives, yet wielded the power of the judicial system like a sword? As the days unfolded into weeks, Mia prepared for every possible angle, rehearsing responses in her mind, reminding herself of each loving word she had ever shared with the twins. She was determined not just to win, but to define what mattered most in her heart. But the deeper she went into the preparation, the more questions surfaced. The morning of the first hearing arrived too swiftly. Dressed in her favorite dress, one she had tailored with the intent to feel both formidable and feminine, she stood before the courtroom doors with a lump in her throat. The air thickened, and she experienced the biting taste of vulnerability. The moment of truth had arrived, and as she reached for the handle, a voice echoed in her mind, her grandmother's words intertwining with a mantra she had embraced. Every stitch is a promise. Could she keep that promise in the courtroom where stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined? With a deep breath, she pushed the door open, stepping into the fray where her life's greatest challenge awaited. But as she entered, a surprising figure caught her eye, Jonathan's searing gaze locking onto hers with an intensity that hinted at deeper truths yet to unfold. What secrets had he kept, and how would they impact her fight for the twins? Her heart raced, awakening a new kind of determination within her as the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Mia's heart pounded in her chest as she crossed the threshold of the courtroom, the air thick with tension and uncertainty. She scanned the faces around her, each one a blend of curiosity and judgment. All eyes seemed to settle on her like a spotlight, amplifying the stakes with every passing moment. Jonathan's expression was unreadable, a mask of aloofness layered over hidden complexities. As she took her seat, the scent of old wood mingled with polished metal, each inhale reminding her of the gravity of her situation. The judge entered, and the room descended into a hushed reverence. Mia sat upright, her fingers clenched around the fabric of her dress, swelling with the power that came from knowing why she was here. To fight for her sons, to delineate what a family truly entailed. The proceedings began with formalities, yet Mia's thoughts spiraled. The contrast between her humble existence and the towering presence of Jonathan, a man who commanded entire boardrooms with a mere flick of the wrist, felt insurmountable. Had the world of dollars and influence ever truly seen her? Quick images of her small shop crowded her mind, the way the twins' laughter filled every corner of her life. Would they deem her enough? Patricia, her lawyer, stood resilient against the onslaught of Jonathan's slick attorney, a seasoned opponent whose well-honed words presented a polished facade. With each rebuttal, she glanced at Mia, an unspoken acknowledgement of the battlefield ahead. The swiftness of accusations hurled against her caught Mia off guard. Contentions threatening to unearth the gritty reality of working-class life as unworthy of a stable environment. "Your Honor," Jonathan's lawyer asserted, "the best interests of the children require a stable home, something Miss Hart currently cannot provide." The words sliced through her, leaving jagged edges of self-doubt. Did her love truly hold up against the sheer grandeur of a CEO's life? Just moments ago, she felt armed with conviction, yet the elaborate network surrounding Jonathan made her feel small. Facing the unyielding power he represented, the edges of despair began to creep in. But as she listened to Patricia outline their emotional argument, highlighting the warmth, creativity, and artistic flair Mia had infused into her sons' lives, a spark ignited within her. This was her territory, crafting happiness through the simple and beautiful act of sewing. Each stitch wasn't just fabric woven together. It was a tapestry of love, comfort, and identity. Suddenly, Mia recalled her grandmother's words. "Every stitch is a promise." The phrase resonated deeply inside her, morphing into a mantra as reassurance seeped in. She absorbed the weight of her choice to adopt the twins, to claim them in joyful defiance of the shadows that loomed. When Patricia asked her to speak, it felt like stepping onto a stage, yet the spotlight now illuminated her journey, her truth, a narrative written through nights spent sewing while the twins dreamt, through laughter, patience, and the chaotic sweetness of family life she'd painstakingly built. The room began to fade, and all that remained was the urgency behind her words. "Jonathan may hold power and wealth, but my love has been their constant," she declared, her voice steady. "My commitment is unwavering. My home is, and I will fight for them no matter the obstacles." As she spoke, Mia felt the walls of uncertainty dissolve, with each proclamation forging a new resilience within her. The murmurs in the courtroom turned into whispers of respect, shifting the power dynamics with each beat of truth she revealed. But then she caught Jonathan's eye again. There was something in his gaze, a hint of calculation she could not decipher, a flicker of recognition, perhaps of an unexpected vulnerability. Had he expected this? The evening drew near, and as court adjourned, Mia could almost taste victory. But the shifting plans of Jonathan stirred questions. What cards did he still hold? As she stepped outside, the cool air hit her like a refreshing wave, but the uncertainty wrapped around her like a cold mist. The battle had only begun, and as she gathered her thoughts for the next hearing, a troubling thought surfaced. Could Jonathan expose secrets from her past, riddling her with doubt? The fight for her family had only begun, yet there was a deeper, unsettling mystery to unravel. The seeds of fear gnawed at the edges of her resolve. What if the past she was trying to protect came back to haunt her? The next few days carried a weight that pressed down on Mia's shoulders, making every simple task feel monumental. The sound of sewing machines and the scent of fabric filled her shop, but they no longer provided solace. Instead, they served as a backdrop to her swirling thoughts and unanswered questions. Each morning, the sun rose with the promise of a new day, but with it came a dread of what Jonathan might be planning. Patricia called, her voice a mix of concern and determination. "We need a strategy, Mia. Jonathan's attorney is formidable, and they'll look for any weakness. Let's prepare you for the next court bait. You need to present not just a case, but yourself." Mia understood, though she balked at the notion of being presented. "I'm not a polished CEO. I'm just a seamstress, a mother." The words felt inadequate against the tidal wave of Jonathan's influence. "Precisely. You're their mother, Mia, and that's your strength. Your reality is invaluable. Show it. Remind the court of the life you've built." As she hung up, Mia began to see Patricia's point. The artistry of her life, the fabric of her days woven with care, held an undeniable power. She conjured the image of her shop. Each customer reminded her of the love and effort she had infused into her work. The next day, she stood in front of the mirror, pulling on a simple dress she had sewn herself. It was a vibrant shade of blue, reminiscent of the sky on a clear summer's day. Each cut, each stitch symbolized not just creativity, but her journey, a journey marked by resilience and love. Yet beneath the surface, a storm brewed. Mia didn't have the training to face someone like Jonathan, who was used to dueling with words that could cut just as deeply as a knife. The weight of her family's future loomed larger than any piece of fabric she had ever stitched. Did she dare to confront her fear of inadequacy? Amidst her brooding thoughts, an unexpected visitor arrived, one of her regular customers, Ellen, clutching a bag filled with fabric remnants. "Mia, you're not alone in this," she said, her eyes shimmering with empathy. "You inspire us all with what you've done for your children. The shop isn't just a business, it's a community." Mia felt a warmth rush over her, challenging the cold doubts that were slowly encroaching. The very people who had filled her shop with laughter and joy were rallying behind her. With a flicker of genuine hope igniting in her chest, she opened the bag. Together, they began sorting through the fabric, laughter cutting through the tension like sunlight through clouds. As Mia threaded her machine, she envisioned the day in court, imagining her words wrapped around the judge like a comforting quilt. She could present not just the challenge of the moment, but the tapestry of her life, each thread symbolizing the love and stability she fought for ardently. But the pull of her past still haunted her. She couldn't ignore the buried secrets that lay within. What if Jonathan found out about the financial struggles that had haunted her, about her desperation to keep the shop afloat after leaving her previous life behind? The weight of potential exposure tightened around her throat. The clock ticked ominously, counting down to the next hearing. Mia spent sleepless nights digging into every corner of her past, assessing the truths and half-truths that came to light. She planned, determined to keep her family together, yet regretting every decision that had led her here. Would revealing those secrets strengthen her resolve or unravel the very fabric of her reality? That morning, as she prepared to leave for court, she hesitated, her heart racing with dread. The secrets loomed larger than ever. Her battle lay ahead, with the tide of Jonathan's influence threatening to drown her newfound strength. The moment of truth awaited, and she could feel it approaching with a chilling certainty. What hidden truths would emerge, and would they help her fight, or would they bring everything crashing down? As Mia stepped out of her shop, the cool morning air hit her like a splash of ice water, bringing clarity amid the chaos of her thoughts. Each step toward the courthouse felt like a march through a fog of uncertainty, laden with the weight of decisions that could redefine her existence. She understood that today was not just about facing Jonathan. It was about confronting her own fears that had woven themselves into the very fabric of her identity. The courthouse loomed ahead, its imposing structure mimicking the anxieties fluttering in her stomach. She fought the pull to turn back, to retreat into the safety of her fabric-laden sanctuary. Yet as she traced a finger over the embroidered butterfly on her dress, a symbol of transformation, she drew strength from her artistry. Once inside, the courtroom buzzed with a tension that matched her internal turmoil. Patricia was already waiting for her, her demeanor a blend of professionalism and support. "You look incredible," she whispered as Mia took a seat. "Remember, this isn't just his tale, it's yours. Speak from the heart." But could she? Appearing composed was one thing, revealing the depth of her struggle was another. Mia's mind raced with thoughts of her children, the space she had cultivated for them, and the determination that had fueled her every action thus far. As the session commenced, Jonathan entered, exuding an air of confidence that sent chills up her spine. He seemed perfectly at ease, as if this were merely a formality rather than a decisive moment in their lives. The attorney seated beside him flashed a disarming smile, ready to dismantle any notion of Mia's competence. She had spent countless sleepless nights dreading this confrontation, but seeing him now instilled a fierce resolve inside her. The lawyer began with a barrage of questions about Mia's financial history, dissecting her past with surgical precision. Each inquiry felt like a dagger aimed at her heart, targeting every insecurity she had meticulously hidden away. With each revelation he forced into the light, Mia grappled with the urge to conceal her truths, to shove them back into the shadows, lest they shatter her carefully constructed perception of success. But then, as a quiet tremor of vulnerability swept through her, she remembered Ellen's words, how her shop was not just her livelihood, but a community forged in mutual respect and support. She took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage she had managed to fortify over the past weeks. When the opportunity arose, Mia stood, her voice steady despite the trembling edges. "I want to speak," she declared, her heart racing. The room fell silent, all eyes on her. "I've faced challenges that could have destroyed me, and yet I am here today, not just for myself, but for my children. This shop isn't merely a source of income, it's a testament to my resilience and our family spirit." Every word clawed its way from her core, revealing the truth of her struggles as she wove together the narrative of her past failures and triumphs. She spoke about her desire to create a nurturing environment for her twins and the sacrifices that had come with that dream. With each sentence, the weight of expectations shifted, and the tide began to turn, just as she had envisioned. As she concluded, a palpable energy coursed through the courtroom. For the first time, she didn't feel alone in her battle. Could vulnerability be her strength after all? But as she swept her gaze across the room, she caught Jonathan's eyes, cold, calculating, and unmistakably furious. The brief flicker of triumph she had felt began to recede, swallowed by doubt. Had she made a mistake by exposing too much? Would he seize this chance to further undermine her? The air thickened with tension as she faced the aftermath of her revelations. She could almost hear the clock ticking down toward the final decision. Now, the question lingered. Was it enough to sway the outcome, or had she unwittingly sealed her fate? Determined not to falter, she steeled herself for what was yet to come. The battle was just beginning, and soon she would have to confront the most treacherous facets of her past, ones that might redefine her future forever. With her resilience tested and her secrets laid bare, Mia felt the undeniable urge to prepare for the next wave of confrontation. What hidden layers would Jonathan exploit, and would she be ready to face them head-on? Mia walked out of the courtroom, her heart still pounding. The cold air seemed sharper now, invigorating her senses, but also waking a fear that surged in her chest. Jonathan's icy glare was etched into her mind, a constant reminder of the battle she had chosen to fight. It was disheartening to think that, after her bold stand, he could still wield power over her life. Patricia fell to step beside her as they made their way down the courthouse steps. "You were phenomenal," she said, her voice a soothing balm against the rising tide of anxiety within Mia. "Your truth resonated. You made them see you." "Did I?" Mia questioned, her self-critique ringing louder than Patricia's praise. "Or did I just expose myself to further attack? I feel vulnerable, like I've stripped off my armor only to stand naked before him." "Vulnerability can be strength. Remember that. Acknowledge it," Patricia replied, her tone firm yet supportive. "You have to trust your instincts. Trust the community you've built. They believe in you." Mia nodded, though doubt lingered in her mind. She had to confront not only Jonathan's machinations, but also the shadows of her past that had crept up with his return. Was this indeed the new chapter in her life that she had hoped for, or a treacherous path lined with risks she might not be equipped to handle? Later that evening, as she wrapped up in the warmth of her shop, the colorful fabrics around her felt like family, a protective cocoon where she could escape the realities threatening to drown her. Yet the confrontation loomed over her like a dark cloud, pulling at her thoughts. The phone rang, disrupting the resolve she had begun to build around herself. It was Ellen. "Hey, I just wanted to check in on you after today," she said, concern evident in her tone. "I spoke my truth, but it feels so fragile, Ellen," she confessed, voice thick with raw emotion. "What if it's not enough? What if I, in my moment of bravery, only open doors I'm not ready to walk through?" "You can't go backward, Mia. Embrace what you've begun," Ellen encouraged. "This journey has just started, and your voice matters more than you think." Mia took a measured breath, attempting to absorb Ellen's words. But what if Jonathan finds a way to tear it all down? Ellen's silence spoke volumes. She grappled with the weight of potential implications, just as Mia did. After ending the call, Mia sat in her workroom, the hum of the sewing machine a lullaby for her racing thoughts. She reached for the remnants of the last project, a vibrant patchwork quilt destined for a customer. What if she poured her fears into her work? Maybe creating something beautiful could provide clarity. Her art could be a shield, allowing her to reconstruct her narrative with genuine threads of vulnerability intertwined. As she began stitching, each movement was deliberate, each color a reflection of her evolving strength. She concentrated on the rhythm of the machine, letting the fabric slip through her fingers as though they were washing away her whispered doubts one strand at a time. Suddenly, a noise pulled her from her meditative focus. A distinct knock echoed through the fabric-filled sanctuary, sharp and unexpected. Uncertainty gripped her as she approached the door, heart hammering with each step. Who could it be at this hour? The door creaked open, revealing Jonathan's attorney, a smile plastered across his face that set her on edge. "Mia, we need to talk," he said, stepping inside uninvited. Panic surged through her. Was he here to threaten her, to dismantle everything she had fought for in that courtroom? She could almost hear her heartbeat resonate in the silence. "Talk?" she echoed, her voice steadier than she felt. "About what?" His smile widened, and Mia braced herself for whatever revelations would follow. What choices awaited her in this new confrontation? Mia's heart thudded against her ribs as she observed the attorney casually scan her workshop, his fingers brushing across a fabric roll like a child would graze the pages of a cherished book. The gleam in his eyes was unnerving, a discomforting juxtaposition to the earnestness she had cultivated amidst her vibrant surroundings. "You've made quite a stir," he began, his tone almost flippant. "Your testimony had more impact than you might realize." "You've come to gloat," she snapped, her defenses flaring, "or to issue more threats on behalf of your client?" A wave of annoyance washed over her. She had fought too hard for her truth to allow this man to intimidate her. "Nothing of the sort," he replied, his smile remaining unnaturally affable. "In fact, I'm here to discuss an opportunity." An opportunity? She echoed, skepticism lining her features. Yes, you know how Jonathan loves to control the narrative. He admires resilience, although he won't show it. He wanted me to extend a proposition to you. Mia's nerves clenched tighter, a bracing chill wrapping itself around her spine. And what kind of proposition would that be? He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice as if sharing classified information. Consider partnering with him on an upcoming project, something that would benefit both of you, clean slate and all. Does he think I'm going to make deals with him after everything? The words slipped through her gritted teeth. The very idea felt tainted, a stain on her commitment to authenticity. Look, I understand your apprehension, the attorney continued, unruffled by her defiance. But sometimes certain compromises can open unexpected doors. What if you did this not just for him, but for yourself? You might surprise yourself with what you can accomplish. I'm not interested in anything he has to offer. I'm building my life on my terms, Mia shot back, feeling her pulse quicken. Yet at the back of her mind, a whisper of doubt flickered. What might collaborating with Jonathan unlock? She took a step back to center herself, her heart wrestling with conflicting thoughts. Could this be a chance to leverage his influence to elevate her craft without losing herself in the process? The very thought sent her stomach churning, a dilemma surfacing in the corners of her mind like a shadow that refused to dissipate. I admire your passion, the attorney said, a hint of genuine respect peeking through his practiced demeanor. But confronting Jonathan may require more than just resistance. Aligning yourself can be a strategy. It doesn't have to mean submission. It can be a power play. Power play. Her laughter was hollow, almost cruel in its sarcasm. I can't just go in there and pretend. You've already bared your soul before him. Think of it as another way to assert your strength, control the narrative as he has tried to do. His words hung in the air, lingering like smoke swirling in a still room. Control of the narrative. Wasn't that precisely what she had fought to reclaim? Mia shifted her stance, the prospect swirling in her mind's eye. Could she navigate this minefield, turn his strengths against him, use them to forge her own path? I'll consider it, she said finally, but don't mistake this for surrender. If I take this route, I'll do it on my terms. Splendid. He stepped back, his smile morphing into something almost predatory. My office will be in touch then. Just remember, every deal has its risks and its rewards. As the door clicked shut behind him, Mia stood frozen, the weight of the encounter pressing on her like a curtain of fog. The air crackled with tension, her earlier confidence seeping away. She had to confront every choice ahead. She could now either embrace this newfound power or let it slip through her fingers. She turned slowly back to her work, the patchwork quilt waiting patiently in her corner. Jonathan's attorney's words echoed in her head, a reminder of the balance between building her future and protecting her freedom. As the needle darted through fabric, a sense of clarity began to form. The battle wasn't just about her past or Jonathan. It was about becoming the architect of her own destiny. But in that moment of clarity loomed another question. If she stepped into this complex game, what would it cost her? The door swung open again, a gust of wind following in. Mia turned, bracing for the uncertainty ahead. Was this fortune favoring her boldness, or would it shatter her resolve entirely? Mia's fingers danced impulsively across the fabric, each stitch almost an answer to the whirlwind of thoughts swirling in her mind. The attorney's proposition had been etched into her consciousness, a dual-edged sword of opportunity and anxiety. She breathed deeply, trying to untangle her emotions as she concentrated on the design developing under her hands. Every thread pulled tighter. This wasn't merely sewing. This could be her first step in a new direction. Suddenly, a series of loud raps resonated at the door, pulling her attention sharply from her thoughts. The familiar face of her friend and business mentor, Clara, appeared through the crack. She entered with a burst of energy, her face alight with enthusiasm. "Mia, you'll never believe the latest." Clara's voice jolted Mia fully into the present. Mia set her work aside. "What happened?" "Jacob from the fabric store reached out," Clara began, her excitement palpable. "He's been talking to some buyers, and they want to feature local artisans in a new boutique downtown. A whole new avenue for exposure." The name Jacob washed over Mia like a wave, a connection to her community, to the roots she had nurtured. "That sounds incredible. What's the catch?" Clara waved her hand dismissively. "No catch, but they'll need a good selection ready in weeks. They're looking for diversity, something fresh from emerging designers. This could be our big break." Mia felt her heart race anew, a surge of possibility intertwined with the earlier visit from the attorney. There it was again, the notion of opportunity crawling at her, demanding to be acknowledged. But it was accompanied by the echo of Jonathan's offers, each a puzzle piece that could lead her to success or entrap her further. "What if I don't want to sell out?" Mia questioned, her voice thick with doubt. "What if entering the boutique means playing by someone else's rules?" "Playing by the rules might be the way to rewrite them," Clara replied, her tone steady and reassuring. "You have so much talent, Mia. Don't let anyone define what that means. This is about showcasing your artistry. Think of it as gathering influence, control. You can make your brand what you wish it to be." Mia pondered that fiercely, her thoughts melding with Clara's. The boutique brought forth the potential to gain visibility, but how would she balance it with Jonathan's intentions lurking behind the scenes? Could she seize control while ensuring her authentic voice remained? What if I consolidate both, this boutique thing and Jonathan's project? I mean, if I'm going to strategize, I might as well do it right, she mused, the words spilling from her mouth before her mind could filter through the risks. Clara's eyes lit up. That's the spirit. You could use the launch of your line in the boutique to leverage Jonathan's project, build your credibility while ensuring that he understands you're not his pawn. This was different. It wasn't just about power or compromise. It was about manifesting her vision into existence, standing tall within the very game she had almost allowed to engulf her. "Okay," Mia said, her conviction intertwining with newfound energy. "I'm going to push this forward. I need to assess my strategies. But first, I have to create. Let's get working on the collection for the boutique." As they dove into the fabric, brainstorming designs and themes, a sense of clarity blossomed in Mia's mind. She would not only embrace the opportunity, but shape it into something greater. However, oscillating doubts still lingered, whispering fears about the shadow of Jonathan. What would happen if he decided to play his cards unpredictably? In that moment, the door creaked open again, and to Mia's surprise, it was her sister, Ray, uncertain but resolute. Anxiety sparked through Mia's veins as she recognized the hesitant expression on Ray's face. A confrontation was looming, one that promised to unveil deeper truths. "Mia, I need to talk to you," Ray began, stepping slowly inside. "I think we need to discuss Jonathan and what it means for you moving forward." The tension thickened like the fabric surrounding them as Mia's heart raced with both anticipation and dread. What revelations awaited? Would Ray challenge Mia's plans, or would she unveil hidden strengths that could shift everything? Mia's pulse quickened, the weight of Ray's words hanging like a taut thread ready to snap. She motioned for her sister to sit, struggling to compose her whirlwind of thoughts. What more could possibly be revealed about Jonathan that she didn't already know? "Okay, let's talk," Mia said, her voice steadier than she felt. "What do you have to say about Jonathan?" Ray shifted uneasily, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sleeve. I know you see him as a way to advance your career, but there's more to his story, Mia. I think he might have ulterior motives. Mia's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Are you saying he's not as interested in my work as he lets on? Ray hesitated before speaking, weighing her words carefully. I overheard something the other day while I was at the cafe, a conversation between Jonathan and one of his colleagues about how he's trying to buy out local designers to control the market. They mentioned your name. Shock coursed through Mia like icy water. That can't be true. He wouldn't do that to me. He told me he wants to promote my designs. Maybe that's what he says, Ray urged, but think about it. He's successful and powerful. Do you really think he's just looking out for you? You're talented, Mia, but you need to be cautious. Mia ran a trembling finger along the quilt she had been working on, lost in thought. But if I throw away this opportunity with him, what will I have instead? Jacob's boutique could elevate my brand, but if I pull away from Jonathan, won't I be giving up my chance to grow? Ray leaned closer, her expression earnest. It's about growth, yes, but it's also about autonomy. You have to ensure that your journey is fueled by your choices and not his. Is your success worth the risk of losing yourself in someone else's game? Questions tangled in Mia's mind, each one a thread unraveling her confidence. Jonathan's charm had once seemed like a beacon of hope, but now she questioned the true nature of the light illuminating her path. I know you want me to succeed, Ray, and I appreciate your concern, but I can handle my own decisions. I want to prove to everyone, including Jonathan, that I can build something on my own terms, Mia asserted, her voice firm, although uncertainty flickered within her gut. Then let's revise your plans, Ray suggested, her tone shifting from reluctant to protective. Before approaching Jonathan again, let's brainstorm a strategy that comes from you, not him. I believe in your voice. Mia nodded slowly, the spark of determination reigniting within. You're right. If I am going to do this boutique project, I need a cohesive vision, a collection that stands on its own, something that reflects me without his shadow looming behind it. As they began to sketch ideas, Ray's presence became a grounding force amidst the storm of anxiety swirling in Mia's heart. They discussed themes, colors, and fabric choices, each decision reaffirming Mia's resolve to shape her identity in both the boutique launch and her future dealings with Jonathan. Amid the flurry of creativity, something pivotal clicked inside Mia. This wasn't just about making garments, it was about crafting her legacy. The collection would act not only as an expression of her artistry, but as a shield against any attempts to manipulate her aspirations. Let's keep this under wraps for now, Mia said, excitement blossoming as she imagined the possibilities. If I'm careful and clever, I can use both the boutique and Jonathan's project to my advantage. I'll show him that I can succeed without compromising myself. Ray smiled, admiration softening her features. That's my sister, a designer with her own ambition and authenticity. Just remember that each stitch you make is also a defiance against those who seek to control. Just as clarity settled in, Mia's phone buzzed against the table. A message from Jonathan requesting a meeting to discuss their partnership. A knot formed in her stomach as she stared at the screen. This was it, the moment where intentions would collide with truths and her future direction hung delicately in the balance. Could she maintain her path while facing the one man she was beginning to suspect had plans to amend it? The door had creaked open to possibilities, and now it teetered on the brink of a confrontation that would test everything Mia believed about her journey. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choices settle over her like the fabrics adorning her shop. She understood that this meeting with Jonathan was a crossroads, a chance to define not just her professional path, but the very essence of who she was becoming. This time, she would not approach him hesitantly. She would stand firm, woven from the fabric of her own truth. As she walked through the familiar, bustling streets toward their designated meeting spot, Mia felt the pulse of her community thrumming in her veins. Each stitch she had made, each moment spent nurturing her boys and creating a home, had fortified her resolve. She wasn't just a seamstress, she was a builder of dreams, both her own and those of Tyler and Ethan. Arriving at the upscale cafe where Jonathan awaited her, Mia felt a mixture of determination and apprehension. The opulence of the surroundings contrasted sharply with her humble world, but she refused to let it intimidate her. She entered with her head held high, taking a moment to steady her breath before approaching him. Jonathan sat at a corner table, exuding confidence in his tailored suit, but this time the shimmering veneer didn't dazzle her. As she greeted him, she sensed his expectations. He was prepared to charm her, but she would not be swayed by his polished words. "Mia, I'm glad you could make it," he began, his smile professional yet calculating. "I believe we can create something exceptional together." "Exceptional?" she echoed, raising an eyebrow. "What does that mean for me and my designs? Will I maintain creative control, or will this become another project for you to dominate?" He hesitated, the facade of confidence wavering for just a moment. "I want you to bring your vision to life, but my resources can greatly enhance what you already have." Mia leaned in, her voice steady. "Resources are only valuable if they aren't a means to an end for someone else's gain. I want to collaborate, but only if we can build something authentic together, something that reflects my journey." Jonathan studied her for a moment, his features morphing from surprise to a grudging respect. "I didn't expect such a strong stance from you. I appreciate your honesty, and yes, collaboration is key." As they discussed potential designs, Mia began to map out the framework for her collection, while understanding that she must remain vigilant against any undertow of manipulation. She didn't want to be a pawn in his game. She craved a partnership where both voices could harmonize, one dictating what was represented and the other shaping the offering. By the end of their meeting, Mia felt a triumphant pulse of energy coursing through her. She had not only asserted her worth, but had also reinforced her commitment to crafting her own narrative, a bold stance that opened pathways instead of closing doors. With a soft smile, Jonathan remarked, "I haven't met anyone quite like you, Mia. I admire your spirit." But that compliment was a double-edged sword, and she knew it. The days that followed were filled with creative energy. Mia dove headfirst into her designs for the boutique while maintaining an eye on her collaboration with Jonathan. With Ray by her side, they built a collection that spoke of resilience, love, and personal artistry, each piece layered with meaning and purpose. Finally, the day of the boutique launch arrived. Mia felt the flutter of excitement intertwining with her nerves as she set up her display. Visitors flowed into the shop, admiring the vibrantly crafted pieces that danced in a spectrum of colors and textures. Her hard work was on full display, her journey stitched into every seam in hem. Receiving feedback from delighted customers brought a wave of exhilaration. "This is beautiful," one patron exclaimed, holding up a quilt that encapsulated the essence of Mia's artistry. "You can feel the love sewn into every stitch." By the end of the day, Mia stood surrounded by the echoes of joy, recognizing that she had created something not merely for profit, but as a declaration of her evolution. She had transformed from a quiet seamstress into a beacon of hope and authenticity. That evening, as she stood before the mirror, wearing a piece from her collection, she could see her reflection shift. The pulled tightness in her shoulders eased, relief washing over her. She had arrived at a new chapter, confident in who she was as a woman, a mother, and a designer. As her phone buzzed with a message from Jonathan, Mia felt a strange sense of clarity. The partnership had pushed her to grow, but it was her vision, her strength that would ultimately dictate the course. She was not his to control. She was her own. Tyler and Ethan rushed in, their laughter ringing through the shop, grounding Mia in the fulfillment of her choices. She realized in that instant that her true success lay not in the partnership with Jonathan, but in the love and stability she had built for her family. Every triumph was woven together, a tapestry rich with resilience, love, and a relentless pursuit of her dreams. For the first time, she felt unwavering confidence in her path, one she would forge alone or invite others to share, depending on their respect for her identity. Mia was no longer just creating garments, she was cultivating a legacy. And it was only the beginning. As you reflect on this incredible journey of Mia and her transformation, it's vital to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and theories about Mia's journey and what you think happens next. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for these inspiring personal overcoming stories. Don't wait even one more.